We are in our old neighborhood, South Park, San Diego, because our favorite vegan restaurant in the world, Kindred, is offering takeout, and Barry is making the pickup.
Yeah.
You ready?
I'm ready. So it used to be called Permanent Vacation. It was our tiki-inspired menu, and it's called Permanent Staycation. So hopefully it's not permanent, but we've been stuck in the van for 8 days, raining, and we had to go out and get some vegan stuff anyway. So we figured we'd swing in and support our favorite restaurant in San Diego. So.
What you got there, Mr. Williams?
Got the mother load.
All right.
So yeah, these are.
They look pretty tasty. Smell tasty anyway.
Oh
yeah. We better get to work on those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you got there? Oh my.
We've got pigless pork rinds, nacho cheese flavor. So these are vegan pork rinds.
Oh really?
Yeah. Texas barbecue. Oh, shit. So excited I'm throwing them at you. Hella hot.
Oh, those are mine.
You got a mouse in your pocket? And original.
All right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So I'll give them a shot. I've been like, I was late to the pork rind train, and I got on it like right at the end of our road trip last year. Like I didn't really get on the train until the end of last year, and then we went vegan, and I was like, well, I guess that's out. But now we got these.
Yay.
Cool. So we'll let you know how they are.
Awesome.
Cool.
What are they made out of? Oh wow.
Pea protein, I think. Rice, pea protein, pea grits, hella hot seasoning. Yes, it's primarily pea protein.
Excellent.
Outstanding food to create snacks that are full of flavor, free of guilt, and crafted by renowned chef Dave Anderson. Chef Dave transforms wholesome plant-based ingredients packed with protein and health benefits into our addictively delicious pigless pork rinds. Whether you love traditional pork rinds, or you've never had them, you'll find our pigless pork rinds hella tasty. Tear open a bag and pig out.
That's tasty stuff.
Yeah.
Let me see that bag again. Pig out, pigless pork rinds. Awesome.
Yeah. The book itself is about the 2 hikes that I did across the Catalina Trail, which goes across Catalina Island off the coast of Los Angeles, California. And I did the first hike in 2016. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. I was 70 pounds heavier than I am today. I rolled off the couch and onto the trail. I had never been backpacking before. Didn't even break in my shoes. I just like chucked stuff in a backpack and was like, time to go here. Let's do it. And so the book talks about the first hike and then what happened between the first and second hike and then the second hike itself. And so it is about hiking, yes, but hiking in this book is more of a vehicle for self-discovery than it is how to hike the Catalina Trail. It's not a guidebook. I mean, I'll give you plenty of fun facts about Catalina Island, and there's some beautiful pictures, and we talk about how hard it is and stuff like that, but really hiking and the trail is just like a huge metaphor for my life, and I know I'm not the first person to experience this kind of healing on the trail, but I thought it was just such a beautiful metaphor to be able to talk about really hard topics that nobody really wants to talk about, which first and foremost, sexual assault, secondly, chronic illness. Like those are conversations that are usually kept private if they're had at all. And I wanted to be able to connect the dots between what had happened really, like at that point it was 11 years prior. Now my assault was 14 years ago now. But I wanted to show how I was able to connect the dots between the assault that I survived and how not getting help and how that trauma manifested in my mind and body as panic attacks, workaholism, borderline alcoholism, type 2 diabetes was my physical ailment, and how spending time outside helped me heal. So that's kind of the gist of the book. I wanted to write something that was not just a memoir, but also a guidebook in a way to like help you start this journey. I've read so many incredible memoirs, but at the end I'm like, okay, so how'd you do it? Like, yay, you, amazing story. but how did you get to this point? Like, I want to know, what steps did you take? How did you do it? So I figured if I have read books and thought that, then surely another person has too. So I wanted to write the story, and I did. And then I wanted to include some resources that share about some different organizations in the outdoor space that can help people like find a community if they enjoy doing this, and set up some prompts for reflection, because like you were saying, this story's relatable, and it's not because I'm like super unique and a really great writer. I mean, I think I'm pretty good, but we've all been through some really hard, terrible stuff that we don't talk about. And this kind of gives a voice to that. So a lot of people, like, I get notes from people all over the world that are like, did you just write the story of my life? And I'm like, yeah, maybe, you know, because like we all have so much more in common than we do differences, I think. So, the story itself is a mix of heavy and sad. You'll laugh with tears in your eyes because it's funny and because it's tragic. And I wanted to offer a transition from the story into the reflection piece. So that's why I included the coloring page. I'll show you mine. I've been working on it. But I included a coloring page because I was like, you know, we're talking about some pretty heavy stuff that can really get you in your head. And I wanted to give people an opportunity to get back into their body after reading this story. So we have like this nice little coloring page. Mine's not all the way done, but there's that. And then the back of the book is just set up like journal prompts. And so it pulls the themes. Yeah. So it pulls the themes from each chapter and then helps you integrate, like helps you like understand the lessons that I learned and how you can apply that to your own life. So all the questions, there's like 3 to 5 questions per chapter, and every one of them is a question that I asked myself at some point along my healing journey. I was just like, if these helped me, surely they'll help someone else. So that's kind of the whole gist of it. As far as writing it goes, I got it done in a week. I just sat down and cranked it out. So I was like, I'm gonna write a book now. I'm ready. Yeah. Completely unwilling to stand in anything but your truth, and that takes so much work, and it's so much easier said than done, but it's simple, and we have a choice in everything we do. And I always like to preface this way, because like you hear like happiness is a choice, and it's like, really? That's rude. Like, it's not that easy. I always like to preface it by saying like the choices that I make may be very different from the choices that you make. And we may have been born onto very different foundations from which to make choices, socially, economically, politically, financially, like whatever the different factors are that affect our everyday life. Like those could be very different, but we always do have a choice. And so for me, the biggest takeaway from these 2 hikes, one of them was like, when I have the choice, which I always do, is choose love over fear. Because when I came from a place of fear, I was reacting, I was lashing out, I wasn't my whole most authentic, grounded self. And I outline it in the book, but there's these very distinct points along my journey where I could have chosen to respond from a place of fear, but instead I chose love for myself. And I think to be brave, you have to be unafraid to put your own needs first. And especially as women, especially in America, that is near impossible to do. We are not raised to believe that that's okay. I mean, what's one of the first things I heard? You sound like you think you're so hot. You think that you are so cool. You're such a show off, whatever. And we like start shrinking into ourselves and like being small. And that's not bravery. That's not being authentic. The bravest thing we can do is like 2 middle fingers up to all the systems that keep us small and quiet and not being our best selves because we're afraid of what people will think. Who else, like at the end of the day, who cares what people think? Like it's hard to get over that. And I'm not saying I walk around this life like I've got a shield on and everybody's thoughts just bounce off me. That is the farthest thing from the truth. But I think ultimately it's just a matter of like getting in touch with yourself, owning the parts of your story that you've been conditioned to believe are not cool or not okay or were your fault when in fact they weren't, and just like own your life and then go live the one that you want to live. Because 9 times out of 10, the lives that we're living, if we're unhappy, it's because we're trying to meet somebody else's expectations, and that's not brave either. We're trying to live up to what our parents wanted us to do. We're trying to live up to what society thinks we should do. Like there's so many things that are already working against us. The last thing we should do is be working against ourselves. Yeah, I was. And the reason that I was not because of you and not because of anything that I ever saw from Hike Like a Woman, but there have been so many times, and it's unfortunate, and I almost don't even want to bring it up, but it's important to talk about, that people have been like, no self-promotion. And I was like, this is on topic. It's a book about hiking. This is a woman-centered hiking group. I'm not doing this like, yeah, I'd love to make some money for our nonprofit. Yes, I do also have bills to pay, but like, I'm not out here like, if this was a business function, it's not like I'm out here like making it rain business cards and then leaving. Like, I'm trying to establish a connection with you. I have something of value to offer, and I would love to walk your group through it if they're interested. So like, I had asked a couple other places. I had a couple posts deleted in some other books or some other groups where they were like, they were asking about hiking books. And I said, I wrote one. And they were like, you can't promote your own work. And I was like, okay. Okay, cool. So, I'm just going to go for it. And if they say yes, then I'm going to crush it. And hopefully they tell all their friends, because like I have been on this kick for the last 10, 15 years. Like, I don't want to dominate the world. I don't believe in world domination. I believe in world collaboration. And that's the kind of world that I want to live in. That's what we're building at Hiking My Feelings. That's the vibe I got from you guys. So that's why I asked. And I was like, I hope. But I mean, like, this industry is big in that we cover a lot of space. There's lots of groups. It's all broken out into different disciplines of outdoor activities and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like, if you were in trouble on the trail, I'd help you. I wouldn't be like, you know what, you probably shouldn't promote your own injury, right? Like, I would help you. Like, I would do what I can to like make you feel better. I'm launching a little something because my book tour got canceled. All of my events got postponed. I am in Corona coma in the van. And I was like, we got to figure out something to do online. So we're doing a virtual campfire for 20 days in May and June. And we're bringing in some really cool speakers and musicians and artists and spoken word performers and stuff like that. So keep an eye out for that. All of the information for everything for Hiking My Feelings can be found at hikingmyfeelings.org. And then we are on Instagram at Hiking My Feelings and on Facebook, Hiking My Feelings. And then we have our Hiking My Feelings family group if you feel like getting all up in your feelings and being part of our community. So we'd love to have you no matter how you show up.
So what was that all about?
That was the Hike Like a Woman Unfiltered podcast.
Wow, unfiltered and unfiltered.
Uh-huh.
How'd it go?
It went good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I thought so.
What was that whole I have and have not thing?
Their version of a speed round is never have I ever. So you just hold up. They ask the questions, then you yes or no.
Awesome.
So the first one, I don't remember. There was one, it was like, never have I ever been in an elevator, farted, and pretend it wasn't me. Never have I ever tried breast milk. Never have I ever given somebody a black eye. And I can't remember the other ones, but they were pretty pedestrian. There was one that she pulled up because apparently there was a website and she was like, I couldn't say that on the air. And I was like, it's probably for the best.
Excellent.
Yeah. It's fun. So they do this every week. It's live on Facebook and YouTube, and then they cut out the audio and upload that as a podcast to all the different podcast platforms. So
cool.
Yeah.
And they like the book?
They love it. And
they have good taste then.
They have great taste then. Yeah. So I gave and I threw them a discount code, so hopefully some people buy the book after watching that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right then. Cool.
Hey, how is everybody? Happy, what is this, Wednesday? Yep, it's Wednesday. That's fun. So I just wanted to pop in and give you guys some updates and see if we could get some collective energy going here for some of the stuff that's happening at Hiking My Feelings. So as I alluded to yesterday, we've got some exciting stuff coming up. Quick update, there's one spot left for the retreat now. So if you want it, please come get it. But also, The reason I'm joining or gathering us here today is because I just pitched a bunch of really influential people in my life to join us for the virtual campfire. So some of these people you may know, and I just wanted to put it out there so you can think good thoughts and let that marinate, pray on it, manifest on it, journal on it, think good energy, thoughts, whatever you do. So the first person that I pitched that is a pretty big deal is, well, actually, I'll just kind of go through it. So the first day that we're doing this, we're going to have Will Acuna Robinson, who is the first African-American man to be a Triple Crown person. Triple Crown, he can wear the crown. So I just screwed that up. But that means that he's hiked the PCT, AT, and Continental Divide Trail for a total of more than 8,000 miles around the US. He's the guy that is going to be hiking with us around Chicago whenever that happens. So Will's going to do it with us. And then I talked to Adam's mom today. So Adam's mom is going to be one of the guests for chapter 1. You only get so many sunsets. It's named after Adam. I figured that's fitting. And we had a great chat today, and she's really excited to be a part of it. So I'm super stoked to have Adam's mom joining us. I'm also in communication with Jenny Brusso from Unlikely Hikers to talk about body image, expanded sizing in the outdoors, stuff like that. I've invited Melanie and Kaleo to be a part of this as well. So kind of like a little teaser before the actual retreat. So we're batting around some ideas for how they can get involved. I've got a great spoken word artist, the gal that was at the Shine event that I did in Orange County before the whole tour got melted down. She's going to be joining us and doing some spoken word stuff. So now we're getting into some of the bigger ones. So for the Diabetes Day, I asked the American Diabetes Association if I could interview the CEO. Her name's Tracy, and she's amazing. And I really want to interview her and just get the lowdown on what the American Diabetes Association is up to, what they're doing, and how people can get involved. I also sent an email to the folks over at RAIN to get a representative from RAIN to join us to talk about sexual assault and all the resources available there. And I confirmed my mentor, Aaron. He's going to be joining us. So when we talk about like having a personal board of directors, mentorship, stuff like that, Aaron and I are going to resurrect our South by Southwest panel that we did back in 2011. Bring that information to the masses. And then this is where things start getting interesting. So I don't know if you guys know who this is, but Dr. Nicole is the holistic psychologist on Instagram, and she's got over 1 million followers, and she's like all about childhood trauma, coping mechanisms, healing from trauma, healing journeys, stuff like that. Like if you follow us on Instagram and you read my stories, most of the stories that I share are from her posts. So I sent her a note to see if she would be interested in talking about childhood trauma and healing from trauma and coping mechanisms and all that stuff. So like fingers crossed on that one. I also sent a note to Danielle Laporte, who is the author of the Desire Map, which is the goal setting system that I shared in chapter 13 about like core desired feelings. So when I was on the trail and I was hiking and I was saying like generous, grounded joy over and over, that's from the work that I did in her container for how she sets goals, which is called the Desire Map, learning how to set goals with soul. So I sent her a note, and you've probably heard me talk about Tara Moore and Playing Big. It's one of the first books that I recommend to people, and I recommend it because one of the supplementary materials to her book is a guided meditation where you meet your inner mentor. And so this is like your best, healthiest, happiest, most well-resourced self in like 10 or 20 years, I think is the time frame, but you like go through this meditation where you meet your future self. And it changed my life. And the cool thing about that whole thing is I was envisioning myself at like 50 or 60 years old. This was back in 2015 that I was doing this exercise. And So I envisioned myself with like long flowing, curly-ish blonde hair and, wearing comfy clothes and living by the water and super fit and just like outdoorsy and feeling great and helping the world and making it a better place. And like for the most part, I'm kind of doing that right now. So her visualization of like your best self is life-changing. So I invited her to come be a part of it as well. And then um I don't know if you guys are into astrology. If you are, then you should know who Chani Nicholas is, and if you don't, then you should go follow her immediately because she's amazing. And I asked her to join us for chapter 17, which is about like connecting to something bigger than yourself, trusting in the universe, all that stuff. So from an astrology perspective, she's rooted in like social justice, women's empowerment, stuff like that. And her astrology has like radically changed the way I move through the world. Just paying attention to like what's happening with the other planets in alignment and what's happening in history as it pertains to what the solar system is doing and how history repeats itself and how planets repeat themselves and all this other stuff. So the big names, Danielle Laporte, Tara Moore, the Chani Nicholas, Dr. Nicole. So there's some big asks that I've put out there. So one of the cheesy sayings that I got from this empowerment course that I did back in the day was talking about the law of attraction and manifesting and abundance and all this stuff. And the lady, like, it sounded so nerdy at the time, but at the same time, I love the metaphor and the visual for it. She's like, you just got to launch your rockets of desire. And at the time I was like, that just sounds so corny and like a little too like woo-woo for me. But now I'm like blasting rockets of desire out into the universe to see if we can get some of these like incredible women who have just radically transformed the way I see myself and the way I live my life and bring that knowledge to this event. So that's all I got. I just wanted to put that out there. And I'm not going to be disappointed if it doesn't work out. I've got a lot of great amazing people in our little community here, in our networks, in our circles, that can also speak to these things. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. I don't want to wonder what if. I'm not going to sit around and be like, oh, like I wonder if this event would have been different if I asked Chani to join it. Like, I don't want to leave anything up to chance. I'm leaving no stone unturned. So yeah, that's all I got.
Next time on Williams in the Wild. Where are we?
Potentially at the Hiking My Feelings Retreat Center 1.0.
Ground zero?
Ground zero.
For Hiking My Feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, that feels cool to say.
So this is one of the locations where we may actually set up the geodesic dome.
Yeah. So we're going to do a geodesic dome as the first part of the retreat center. So we'll have like community loungy space, and then we'll have some room for tents for people that want to come out and do retreats here. And then as we raise money to build a bigger place, then this will just be a nice place for us to stay when we're not at the retreat center. But yeah, this is potentially where it's all going to begin.